week. We're coming to you live from Arizona. We are live. These are not recorded. Well, they are recorded. You can go back and watch the other ones. But if you're watching this on Tuesday, July 30th, you're watching this thing live. And we are here to answer any and every mule and donkey question you could come up with because that's what we do. Right, Steve? That's what we take our time to do.
That's what we do. Hey, what's this screen in the middle here? It says audio settings.
Audio settings? Oh, you could just X out of that. I forgot to X out of that before we went live. Steve's blowing up there. Well, while he's blowing up, I just want to let you guys know that we are very excited to have you here, especially on this Tuesday. Steve is giving me a hard time. Of course, a few weeks ago, we wound up going live on Steve's anniversary, and I did not know it was Steve's. It was the 51st anniversary, right? We don't want to forget that. Yeah. And we went live, and Steve's like, "Hey, partner, we're going to do it." And so then last week, after we got off on Wednesday, I said, "Hey, can we do it on Tuesday or Thursday?" And he goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, Wednesday's my birthday." He says, "Oh, so we broadcast on my 51st anniversary, but we're going to take some time off on your 37th birthday." I said, "Well, 37 is a big one. That's a really, really big." So anyways, we adjusted a little bit, and we're going to have a lot of big fun here. What are you going to say there, Steve?
Well, I was going to say this Saturday's the big one for me. 7-0.
That's right. And
70.
I can't believe it took me 11, 12, 13 years, however long we've been buddies, took me that long to realize that our birthdays are within a week of one another.
Yeah.
A week for both of us.
Yeah. My mom's is the 31st.
That's right. July. We share this. Me and your mom share the same birthday. Now, when did she go to be with the Lord?
She went to be with the Lord 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. We did a live stream very shortly thereafter.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, we got a lot of people out there who were keeping your family in prayers, a lot of brothers and sisters in Christ, and we absolutely love that. We're here to talk today about something the Lord has created, and that is the mules and donkeys. But before we do that, you've got something in the back you wanted to show us here. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on there, because it is quite the museum.
Well, this is my dining room. I'm sitting at the dining room table. Back in the back there, that's the living room. And you'll see a bull elk back there. That's a 382 7/8 measurement. And on the other side over there is a bear. It's my first bear I've harvested. And so those two are up there. And if you could see over here, which is not, you can see deer and this sort of thing. But this is my living room. Yes, it is.
How cool. Very, very cool. Now, is the bear that's on the wall there, is that the one that used to be in that extra bedroom there off the kitchen? Didn't you have one in there for a while?
Yeah, that was actually my son's that we were kind of hanging on to for a while he was doing some remodeling.
Very good. So what do you hunt with? Are you rifle? Are you bow and arrow? Like what's your setup there?
Everything. You know, I hunt with handguns, archery, muzzle loaders, rifles. I am going to be going to Alaska here shortly, but that's another surprise we're going to be talking about, right, Dave?
That's right. That's right. So real quick then, handgun. What do you hunt with a handgun?
Anything I want to hunt. You can see some of my handguns. You remember the movie Dirty Harry? And that handgun of his, my handgun makes that one look like a toy pistol.
All right.
Yeah, it's about this long. It's great big with a scope on it.
Oh, my goodness.
It's called a Contender, 7mm TCU. Yeah.
Wow. Very good. That's awesome. I'll have to see that next time I'm out there. Hey, let's go ahead and let's welcome some folks who are here hanging out. Of course, we'll probably have some folks who miss us today and texting us tomorrow saying, "Hey, what's going on?" We're just going a day early, and but Jana Griffin got the memo. Jana's here hanging out with us. Tracy got the memo. She's here from Lake Como. We've got Judy. Hi, Steve. I'm watching you from the Sierras up at June Lake. No mules this time. Kayak and biking. Sounds like she's having a good time. June Lake.
Good for her.
June Lake. Kevin Albright is hanging out with us, and David Scholl hopped on, so we've gone international again. Thank you, David.
There we are.
Appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. So if you all have any questions, that's the first thing that we ask is you do what you've already done there. Just make sure that we know that you're watching. We just put your name and where you're watching from in the comment section so that we know that you're here hanging out with us. We can say hey, and then we can recognize you from week to week to week to week. We've made a lot of great friends that way. As a matter of fact, about a month and a half, 2 months ago now almost, David and Di came out from Australia. We spent some time together down in Tucson at the Andrada Ranch, and that was a lot of fun. So that was here from this live stream here. So just say hello so we see you. The second thing is make sure to ask your questions. Any and every question that comes to mind, we want to hear them. We want to make sure that we get all the information out there. Because here's the deal. We don't want you frustrated with your mule. We don't want you feeling like giving up on your mule. We don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with your donkey, when in fact it might just be a simple correction in the way you're communicating. We want you to get as much out of these animals as God had put into them. And so that's what we're all about here. And then the third one, all we ask is that you just share the broadcast. So if you're watching, go ahead and share by clicking that button down below on Facebook. And after you do that, if you're on YouTube, you can go ahead, grab that link, and share with friends and family. So the first question we got here, Steve, you ready for the first question?
Is it from Jana?
Oh, no, it's not. Did Jana have one that was coming in? Oh. Yes. Steve, my mule. Yep, she just sent one in. Were you talking with her earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a unique thing going there.
Okay. Oh, Di Scholl is watching. And John Gibson from Colorado listening from London tonight. How about that?
Wow.
Very, very cool. So let's get to Jana's question. Jana's question, she just sent it in here on Facebook. She says, Steve, my mule doesn't seem to want to please me. What can I do to build that relationship? Also, she doesn't have a good whoa. She has got me baffled. I would imagine a lot of folks feel baffled by their mules from this time to another. What would you have to say there to Jana? Great question.
You know, it just happened to be, I called Jana. I don't know if the Lord asked me to do it or what, but I called her. I said, Jana, how's it going? And she said, Steve, I am completely frustrated. I can't get the mule to pay attention. I go in circles after circles after circles, and I've done a lot of circles, and I just can't get anywhere. You know, my mule is. Oh, listen to this. My mule is stubborn. So I told her. I said, tell you what, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but we're also going to say this. I've never, ever, ever seen a stubborn mule. I have seen a mule that somebody miscommunicated with. Let's go on. Okay, Jana. Circles. Everybody does circles. Okay, we're going to do circles, and we're going to get the mule or the horse or the donkey to stop. All right, I would like you to do that at the Grand Canyon. And tell me you can do circles at the Grand Canyon, especially a couple of them places where you might have 6 foot of walkway, and that's it. Tell me you can do that. You know what? It looks really good when these trainers they're really good trainers and stuff, but there's a little bit more to life than a flat ground and an arena and a round pen. And you have a mule, you have a donkey, you want to go see the mountainside. All right, so let's go on. You know, Jana says, I told her, I says, all right, you've got my bit. She's got my trail rider bit. I said, Jana, we've got to teach the right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain. So I want you to ask, tell, demand. And think about this, folks. When you ask them to do something, then that's got to get done, especially a stop. So you ask them to do something, and they do it pretty good. And the second time, they don't hardly do it good at all. Don't do it no more. Like going around in circles, just because, don't go around in a circle, keep on going. All they're going to do is learn how to go in circles. You don't have a merry-go mule. You have a cotton-picking mule that can go places. And listen, I had a client that ended up having a helicopter ride out because she was so busted up. The people that was trying to sell her the mule said, oh yeah, just go around in a circle and the mule will stop. Didn't happen. She hit the ground. Matter of fact, she hit several other mules, and she ended up going to the hospital. No, folks. Disengaging hindquarters has its place. I don't do disengaged hindquarters, especially with the runaway mule. I actually disengaged the shoulder, but this is what I told Jana to do. This is the very beginning stage. We're going to ask, tell, demand. So I'm going to ask right brain, tell. I'm going to ask left brain, right brain, left brain. So I'm basically saying right brain, left brain, stop, listen to me. Janet wanted to go to the left. The mule wanted to go to the right, something like that. I don't know the exact part of it. So, of course, what happens? We pull to the left because we don't want to go to the right. What does the mule do then? Run through his shoulder. Run just as fast through his shoulder as he does straight ahead. So that's why I say, don't do that. Go right, listen to me. Left, listen to me. Right, left, right, left. And that's ask. And then you tell, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then you demand, and I'm telling you folks, which one of you want to go to the hospital first? You want the mule to go, or would you rather you go? I don't want to go. I've been there a few times, all right? And I've bought them guys brand new BMWs. Anyway, so, you know, they will pay attention. If you watch any of my clinics and this sort of thing, you see the ask, tell, demand, you'll see them comply, and I mean comply right away. So you have to get that done. Ask, tell, demand. And then the next time you do it, ask. Anytime, folks, these mules in the saddle are not doing what you want them to do, you go right, left, right, left. Now, you know, the backyard term is seesaw. Nah, don't say that. You're training right brain, left brain. Why is that? Because they don't have the cranial lobe that tells the right side what the left side's doing or the left side what the right side's doing. They don't have it. So you have to train one half at a time. You can go left, right, or you can go right, left, either way. But you ask, and then you tell, and then you demand, and then watch them. And then you'll pick it up, and they'll comply a lot quicker. Rarely do I have to go to a demanding stage. Rarely. Now, stubborn mule. Tell you what, Dave, let's hold on to that stubborn mule thought toward the end.
Okay.
And I want to talk a little bit about stubborn mules. And Jana, hang on. We're going to be there.
All right.
What's the other questions?
All right. The next question that I got here, this one's from Denise. Sent in a message, says, my mule is 3.5 years old. My mule is 3.5 years old, and my mammoth donkey is 3.5 years old. I've been taking both of them to shows, doing in-hand classes, and I've now backed my mule and started riding her, but she isn't happy in the snaffle bit I have been using. She puts her tongue over the bit and yawns a lot. That's why I've ordered your mule rider's martingale. I've also backed my mammoth donkey. I have also backed my mammoth donkey, and he is now in harness and pulling our breaking cart, but I feel he is totally unhappy with his bit too. I'm hoping to learn a lot from your DVD and to make Ruby, my mule, and Charlie, AMJ, happy and comfortable with their tack and bits. I don't have anyone in England that understands mules. I only know a handful of people that ride them, and most of them seem to have problems. I don't want to end up like them. I wish I could bring them over to America and train them with you. I'm having to learn as I go along. I've had horses all my life, but as you know, donkeys and mules are totally different than horses. Yeah, good for her for knowing that, because what we're finding is a lot of people don't know that. So good for you, Denise. I don't want to do anything wrong that causes pain or stresses them. I have a great bond and understanding with both of them. They trust me. I don't want to break the trust. So what would you say there to Denise?
Okay, the Mule and Donkey Society over there in England actually at one time was talking about having me go over there and do some seminars and maybe a judge's show. But here's the thing, is they have no respect for a smooth snaffle bit. Now, I was talking to a person today. She says, I just couldn't stop him. And she happened to look in the mouth, and she seen that the tongue was really ugly looking. And I said, yeah, it was probably split cut in two from a smooth snaffle bit. And she says, really? That really looked nasty. I said, yeah, what happens is, Dave, is people tend to overpull. They overpull. The donkey, the mule is not complying, so they keep on pulling, you know. Well, then they brace into the bit, and the ends up cutting the tongue. And it takes a little bit, and it does happen. Now, so the smooth snaffle bit, you know, that thing is all it's going to do is cause you more problems. Now, what's the donkey, what's the mule telling you when they try to get their tongue over the bit and they're moving the mouth a lot? The bit is too high in the mouth. That's what it is. Let it hang down. Now, a Molly mule or a Jenny donkey have incisors. A John mule and a Jack donkey have a wolf tooth. They're like this. So here's the incisors, here's the wolf tooth. Now, on a Molly mule, let the bit hang down and bump the teeth. Let her sit there, spend time with it. She'll pick it up and she'll pack it. She'll pick it up and she'll pack it. She'll fool with it. She'll finally put it where she wants. Look, folks, give them time to answer the questions. They're chomping at the bit, yeah, because they want to know what's going on. That mule and donkey just wants to be comfortable. And if you allow them the time, then it'll be comfortable. And I've had people say, well, I got this 20-year-old mule and it's chomping at the bit. And I got your bit and it's not working yet. I said, how long you been trying it? Oh, a couple hours now. All right, now wait a minute. We've got a mule that's 20 years old that's probably been doing it for 18 years old. You expect it to be done in 2 hours? Not, folks. Give it time and do a little at a time. Don't always do a bunch at a time. When the donkey gets quiet in the mouth, that's one. Take it off, give them a rub and a pet, put it back on. They'll ask questions about the bit again. Pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. Then they'll get quiet again. Give them a pet and a rub, take it off, put it back on. This is number 3. They get quiet quicker. Boom, it's there. Take it off and then wait 2, 3, 4, 5 days and then put it back on again. Never, ever, ever put on a bit pre-adjusted. Always loosen it up to take the bit off, and then while it's loose, put it back on. Let the mule, let the donkey pick up the bit and pack the bit. Hold the bit. Then do not adjust it. It's going to be different. You are going to be training over a 6-month time frame. 4 to 6 hours a week over a 6-month time frame. Now, in 3 months, you'll start developing where you'll be going to a finished bit. But now let's go back again. We're going to do it 3 times one day. Then the next time we do it, we're going to do those 3 times plus 3 more. We did it 6. Next time we do it, and you don't have to do it every day. Worst thing in the world is to train a mule or donkey every day. Worst thing in the world. I mean, it just blows out their mind. Don't do that. And then go 3, 6, 9, 12. Finally, when you've done it 12 times, and they're picking it up, packing it, and this sort of thing, boom, boom, boom. Now, the key factor of mule and donkey's ear problems is because people put on pre-adjusted bits. Their mouth gets a little tender, and they go to jerk their head away because when you try to put that ear in there, they go and have a little bit of a tender mouth, and they're just trying to tell you. So what do people do? They put a cavesson on them, shut their mouth up so that they can't breathe. Well, they can breathe, but so that they can't open their mouth. You'll see it in horse shows everywhere. Slobber's coming down. Some of the worst things I ever seen. Horrible. But there you are. Now, before all of this, the last thing is this. Get the dental work done to your mules and your donkeys before you start bitting them up. Yes, a 3.5-year-old needs to have teeth floated. Yes, they do.
Awesome. Very good. Nice, thorough answer there. So hopefully that'll help her Denise out a little bit there. We've got a few new folks hanging out with us, joining us. We've got, let's see, Randy from Randy at the ranch. Hey, there's Randy right there, waiting for it to rain down at Andrada. Let's see here. We've got Rebecca. Hello, Steve and Dave, watching from North Carolina. Rebecca is a top fan. Facebook's got a little indicator right there, says Rebecca's a top fan. Thank you for being a top fan, Rebecca. I'm not sure how Facebook decides that, but we are grateful that it did. Di says, Steve, we took our country mules to a city show with lots going on around them. The mules got very stressed, sweating and passing. What could I have done to settle them? That's a great question. What would you say there for Di?
Well, hey, I hear you said Randy Figgins is watching too right now.
Yeah.
Well, Randy and I have gone to Bishop and competed at the World Championships. And you talk about pressure. You know, people say, well, I'm going to desensitize my mule with all these balloons and balls and whatever. You know, try to do it with 10,000 people. You can't. You can't. It's one of them things. They stress out. It's the way it is, and they colic. I have seen more mules colic, more donkeys colic at Bishop than any one show I've ever had because of the amount of stress. I mean, that's world championships, for heaven's sake. So, no, the only thing you can really do is, number one, when you go to these shows, always, always, always take and give them electrolytes a few days before. And then the day you get ready to jump them in a trailer to get them there, give them electrolytes. Because the biggest problem with mules and donkeys, when they go somewhere, they smell the chlorine and stuff in the water, and they don't want to drink. And then what happens is they get dehydrated. And then what happens is you get a blow up, you know.
Real quick, just to interrupt you real quick. So you say give them electrolytes. What's a good source of giving them electrolytes?
Oh, my goodness.
When I need electrolytes, I go drink Gatorade.
Yeah. Well, they actually, if you go online, you can see all kinds of electrolytes. I like the tube type electrolyte just before I jump them in the trailer, because when they come out, they're going to be hunting water. You know, that's one of the downsides. People think it's such a good deal that their mule can go a long time without water. No, folks, it's not a good deal. It's not. They've got to have water. They've got to have salt. And when you're going on a pack trip, you're going back in to go camping for a few days, you take granulated salt and you put it in with a little bit of grain when you put the nose bag on, so they get salt. They got to have salt to move around their system, you know. So the only other thing you can do, and it's really depends on the rules of where you are, and that is to give them a butte, and that'll settle them down. But if they do a drug testing on it, I don't know if it would depend on the rules if butte would be considered drugging them or not.
Oh yeah, that is something to consider.
Yeah.
So Di, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to put them in there. Judy's got a question. She says, Steve, I do have a question for you. Miss Daisy, did you train Miss Daisy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Miss Daisy seems to be showing her ribs. Still feeding Bermuda grass, has been wormed in spring. Always gets the same amount of feed. She gets 1 cup in the morning and night, 1 cup in the morning and night of Integrity for senior animals. No sugar or molasses. What would you suggest? Thank you for your expertise.
Yes. Well, you know, she's getting older now. She's in her 20s. So I wish I could say you could see my ribs when I'm 70, but you can't. Anyway, but here's the thing, folks. When you are going on trail rides and when you're using these animals, take your nose bag and put some whole oats in them and put that feed bag over their head and let them eat them whole oats while they are getting saddled. That helps give them a good top line, and it helps give them the energy, but it also keeps them from using the energy off of the main muscle. And that's it. Now, I like seeing ribs. You know, I'd rather see ribs on a mule than some of the fat pockets and stuff that I've seen on these mules and donkeys here recently. I had one of my clients here in Arizona send me a picture of her mule with the saddle off. What do I do about the fat pockets? And I said, exercise and cut her back off of the carbohydrates, the starches. She says, well, I just feed Bermuda hay. Well, here's what you got to understand, is that when it's cut, the time of the year that it's cut can have more starch and sugar than other times when it's cut. You know, like when it's in the spring of the year, it's really can be high up there in the carbohydrates. So, you know, and I know this is hard to do, folks, but if you really want to feed consistently correctly, buy the feed for a whole year. Buy your hay from one field for a whole year. Because the problem is when you go down to these hay barns, they're buying it from here and there and everywhere, and you do not know where it's come from, you know. And so if you buy the feed for a year, then you'll have consistency in your feeding program. And she said, well, I don't have much room because I can only put just 30 bales of hay in. And I said, go to pellets. You can get Lake and Light pellets here, and you can put 100 bales of bags in there and still have room left over.
Very good. I hope that helps there, Judy. We got a few more people real quick. And as I'm getting ready to introduce some folks here, I just want to say, if anyone is watching out there for the first time, we want to welcome you. My name's Dave, and this here, I keep doing the wrong side when I'm pointing. This here is Steve Edwards, and we just love coming and spending some time on Facebook and YouTube every single week to talk about mules and donkeys. I'll tell you what, 10, 15 years ago, I knew nothing about the mule and I knew nothing about the donkey, but this man right here has shared everything that he knows with me, and golly, I knew more. I did not know there was so much you could know about the mule and the donkey, and that's why we're here to share as much as we can. You know, with everything that I've learned, I'm figuring things out real time whenever I spend time around the mules and the donkeys. I probably get around them 3 or 4 times a year, and the most recently, you know, you were talking about right, left, right, left, right, left, is when we were down at Endrada and I was riding. I was like, Steve, he's going right into the bush. He's going right into the bush. What do I do? He says, tell him to stop. I said, I'm pulling. He's not stopping. He says, don't pull. Bump them, right, left, right, left. And I did it, and you know what, Steve? They stopped. They stopped. It's that easy. So we are here to help you. So go ahead, put your name in the comment section. Let us know that you're here hanging out with us. We would love to greet you. We would love to acknowledge you on the stream here. The next thing is go ahead and ask your question. We got some great questions coming in here today. And the third thing is go ahead and share this with your Facebook friends. Share this on your feed. If you're watching on YouTube, which we know that you are, Nash is watching, Dave Bradley from Georgia. We've got Lolly Lovin'. I'm just sitting here waiting to get a bit more money so I can fence off the lower valley, about 3 acres. I have a suggestion because it's why I will be gated mule, because it's the why. I will buy a gated mule or 2, survivalist pepper, Lolly. So Lolly's watching. We've got Pedro watching from Puerto Rico. Awesome, Pedro. We're glad to have you here. Lolly says, thanks for the hay advice. And Lolly says, hi, Dave and Steve. It's great to meet you. Over on Facebook, Eileen has come to hang out. So Eileen is here watching from Nebraska again. We love it. David is watching from Clark, Wyoming. Meg, nice to meet you last weekend. Steve at Eric Palmer's clinic. This is Meg Bassett Goodyear. She says, I love my new come-along rope and saddle pad very much. I'll tell you what, we get a lot of messages from folks on that come-along rope. They say, wow, I got my come-along rope. Things like, it's made a huge difference, or people are right, it works, or I've gotten more done in the last week than I did the last year. So folks love that come-along rope. Linda says watching from Queen Creek. Kevin's watching from Glen Rose, Texas. Dee is watching. Dee is another top fan. Facebook has given her the top fan diamond. So we're glad that you're here, Dee, watching, hanging out with us. It was good to meet you. Thanks for stopping by Eric Palmer's clinic. So that sounds like that was a great time. Kathy says, watching from Corvallis, Oregon. Kevin says, just bought another saddle pad and bridle today. Kevin, awesome. If you need anything, make sure to let us know. We know you will. Sarah says, Sarah here, first time watching from Western Iowa. Sarah, we are so glad that you're here. Steve, aren't you glad Sarah's here?
Hey, Sarah. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad everybody's here. This is fun.
It is fun, man. We've met so many awesome people through this. Judy says, Steve and Dave, thank you. Love your live program. Yes, I figured Daisy is about 20 and a heart of gold. She is still full of energy. We love to hear that. Next question that I've got. So while we're waiting for y'all to put your questions in, the next question I got, this one came in via email. And this one is just, Steve, I have one of your saddle pads. How am I supposed to clean it? So very quickly, just tell us real quick, like a lot of people get wool saddle pads. You have something different. Just tell us why you did something different, and then go ahead and tell us how you clean it.
Well, number one, I wanted something that was going to can help 2 things. I want my mules cool, and I want them to be comfortable. And having the perforated neoprene created the sweat, which keeps them cool. And then having a perforated neoprene gives them sweat, which then lubricates them. The wetter they are, the better it's going to be, especially on these fat pockets, folks. I mean, I have seen these fat pockets literally peel the hide back because of the heat from wool, you know. But to clean them, oh, Dave, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's rare that I clean mine, very rare. I usually, if I'm going to do it, I'll take a damp cloth and wipe it, or I'll take a little Windex, spray it, and wipe it and clean it off. I'm going to tell you, usually when I get done with the day, ride, and I put the pads up, then the next day when I go to put them on, I'll look at the pad really good and make sure everything looks pretty good. Maybe give it a pat or two, because then by then it's dry and it's going to have a little dust, be a little dusty. Give it a pat or two, put it on. Because look, folks, you're putting it on a mule that's got dirt on him. He's already taken his dirt shower before you put the saddle on him, and you can brush till the cows come home. But anyway, I use a little Windex, spray it and wipe it off for the most part. But I've got a couple of my pads that are over 15 years old that only time they get clean is in a rainstorm.
Yeah, yep. There you go. Great answer there. And yeah, folks, if you have any interest in upgrading your pad, on the website, you can learn more about Steve's pad. Folks tend to really enjoy it, get a lot of use out of it, and saddle doesn't slip. So it's good stuff. Next question we got here. This one's from Kevin. Kevin's got a really good one. He says, I have a new mule. So congratulations, Kevin. She's awesome. Kevin. You can rope off her side pass and so on. Only issue is she's difficult to take on the bit. She has a left ear shyness, so I have been rubbing her ears as I feed her the past couple of weeks. Anything else I can do to help rid her of the shyness and take the bridle bit easier?
Okay, so number one, we talked about this earlier about the bridle. Always loosen the bridle up. Don't put it on pre-adjusted. Loosen it up, put it up, and let her pick it up and put it where she wants. And then if it's a finished bit, go ahead and adjust it to that spot. If you're training and it's a snaffle bit, let her pack it for 6 months. But the other thing is get your dental work done. Always, always, always. And don't listen to some of these dentists, the veterinarians that says they don't need to get done. I'll guarantee you 6 months from the day that you get your dental work done, you're starting spurs. You're starting them already. So that's some of the reason. I used to think that maybe I bumped their teeth, which could happen a little bit. But the biggest reason is loosen the bridle. And look, folks, yes, I do sell those bridles where they unsnap from behind. I don't want to. It's not what I want to do. I prefer you fix the problem. And the problem is created by the man or the woman who put the bridle on pre-adjusted. Put it on loose, let them reach down, pick it up and pack it. You'll have a far nicer, easier, consistent mule when they do that. That's
awesome. Very, very good to know. That was one thing that that I learned when we were down at Andrada. You talked a little bit more about the bit and showed me, but it was this idea of they tell you where they want to have it. You put it on pre-adjusted, it's going to force it to where it's going to go. And I think you came, if I'm remembering correctly, you came to this, you gave it to the mule after having some trouble. You didn't adjust it, gave it to the mule, and it wound up being like the best ride you had had or something like that. And then you said, well, gosh, what was that? And so that was, am I remembering that correctly? Is that how you came about that?
Yeah, I had a mule that was just giving me all kinds of fits. I just couldn't get him to stop, couldn't get him to turn. Everything was a fight. And I kept thinking, boy, what am I doing wrong here? I'll never make a trainer. Well, one day, as always, I put the bridle on I put it on loose, but I didn't tighten it up. I always created the 1 wrinkle, 2 wrinkles like everybody else. Well, I just put it on. And then I climbed on, went to riding. And man, this mule's perfect. Doing everything good, responding really good. And I'm thinking, what happened? The fairies have been thrown fairy dust on, and he's trained. Well, I come back, and I went to pull the bridle off, and I seen I didn't tighten it up. I said, oh, wait a minute. I could have been killed. No, wait a minute. This was my best day. The mule stopped. The mule turned. The mule backed up. The mule did everything good. And why was that? Because he was comfortable. He had the bit where he liked it and responded. Where I didn't have it, when I had it pre-adjusted, that was when he was super uncomfortable. Let the bit hang down, let him reach down, pick it up, and pack it.
Yep, there you go. Let's see here. We've got, okay, so Kevin's following up. He says, I had a dentist come out last Monday, and she did about 1.5 hours worth of work. I don't trust vet to do teeth. Thank you for your response. Now, I've got a question right here. You've said this multiple times. Some vets will say, oh, you don't need to do it. Is there a difference between the way you would treat a horse's mouth and the way you would treat a mule's mouth when it comes to getting the teeth done?
No, pretty much the same thing, Dave. The biggest thing with mules is giving them that shot, being able to go into the vein and get them to be quiet enough to put the speculum on. And we got pictures of that being done. You know, remember with that donkey?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and so there's no difference. The main thing is it's got to get done. And teeth are erupting all the time. That's what they do. They erupt. They're constantly growing. And so with that being that way, you're going to have spurs within a short time. Within the first 6 months, you're going to start having them, especially if you have them out on graze. But they've got to be floated, folks. They got to be. You cannot believe the difference in the attitude of your mules when you float their teeth, and their donkeys. It's a night and day difference.
We hear it over and over and over again, and over again. We've got Doreen, who tagged Kathy. Thank you for inviting Kathy. Doreen's watching. We've got Donna from Merrill, Wisconsin, saying, I'm learning so much. We'd love to hear that, Donna. And let's see here. I think I've covered everyone here. So if you have not shared in the comment section yet your name and where you're watching from, please do that. We just want to make sure to acknowledge that you're here. So the next question that I got, this one's about earning trust. And trust is something that a lot of folks want to know about. Sabina asks, I just purchased 2 miniature mules. They are a driving team. I've driven horses and I have driven these before purchased. How do I earn their trust? The previous owner spoiled them, not the herd leader. Do I need to start from the ground up? How different is training a mule than training a horse? So there's a lot there, there. So how do I earn their trust? Previous owner spoiled them, not the pack leader. Do I start from the ground up? And is training a mule different than training the horse? I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so earning trust. The trust is not so much the trust as we understand it. Trust is being the herd leader. In other words, when they need to be popped on, do it. It's okay. I wonder what you're talking about when you say the other person spoiled them. Well, what did they do that spoiled them, that gives some bad problems? Is there a difference between night and day on horses and donkeys and stuff? Oh, yeah, night and day. When you're training on a mule, you train on a horse, a donkey, and a mule, 3 entities. When you're training on a horse, you're just training on a horse. You train on a donkey, you're just training on a donkey. And then when you have your minis like that, minis have a whole different unique attitude that they get a lot of times from a Shetland pony, which can be pretty darn nasty a lot of times. But, all the videos we got out there, Dave, and there's lots of things you can do. The best thing you can do is, I always tell anybody, you get them home, go to groundwork first. Start doing your groundwork, get your come along hitch on, and get on their level. In other words, you're on the ground, you're telling their nose which way to go, how their feet's going to go, and you are being a herd leader, asking, telling, demanding. That's where I start with everything. It's not important to ride them. It's not important to drive them. It's important to build a foundation on the ground that says, okay, if you don't do it my way, you're going to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And yes, folks, that is called inflicting pain. When another horse turns and kicks another horse, another mule kicks another mule, or donkeys and this sort of thing, that's pain. Now, we can fluff it up all we want, but that is their life. That is the way they are. That's the way they talk. And they do create discomfort with one another. There's no other way around it. You have to, if you're going to be a herd leader, you can't say, now, Fluffy, you can't do that again, Fluffy, bad Fluffy. You can't do that. Give them a good pop with the halter, Now, they train well with their nose. So that's why the come along hitch works so well. Far better than chains, far better than an adjusted halter. Come along first to get them conditioned where they understand, then adjust the rope halter, then go on from there.
The pain piece that you were talking about, the thing that I've come to understand from listening to you and learning from you is that it's not so much pain or not pain, it's communication. It's a matter of their language. It's the matter of the way they communicate. So if we go in and if we don't use comfort, uncomfortable, then we speak a completely different language. And that's where folks get themselves in trouble with their animal. They can't get control on the ground which means they're not going to have control in the saddle. And now you've got the potential of a wreck and some safety problems there. So listening to you, I've really come to understand it less about pain or not pain. And it's more about, no, this is the way they communicate when no humans are around, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. You know, and think about it. You put a piece of iron in your mouth, you don't think you're not creating pain? Yes, you are. You put something on their nose, you don't think you're not creating pain? Yes, you are. It is uncomfortable, you know. So it's all part of life, but you get to where you do less of it, folks. You get to where you can barely pick up on a bridle and get them to respond, and that's nice.
Yeah, at one of the clinics that we had out at Queen Valley last year, I think it was, one of the participants who was just soaking up everything. Her and her husband came out from Michigan. She was soaking up everything that she could, asking questions, getting out, touching, experiencing, learning a whole lot. And she was a lot of fun. I think it was Denise. She asked the question, well, what about positive reinforcement? Don't you do positive reinforcement? And you said, yeah, I do positive reinforcement, but notice what my positive reinforcement is. I just leave him alone. Yeah. That's it. That's the positive reinforcement. I just leave him alone because he just wants to be left alone and comfortable. And it's just a really, really, really cool moment there. Let's see here. What's that?
It's not a cookie.
Yeah, right? It's not a cookie, but it's what they want more than a cookie. Casey is watching from Granger, Texas. Casey, glad to have you here. Kevin is just affirming the teeth floating. He says about the teeth floating, he couldn't be more right. My older mule had her teeth done last month, and she is so much more responsive and easier to handle. We've got a question here. Anthony tuning in. Anthony, we're glad that you're here. Thanks for taking a moment to let us know you're watching from Cave Creek. He says, Steve, have you ever freeze branded a mule? Any pointers for me? It's good to see you guys.
Oh yeah, it's all of my mules were freeze branded, and it really worked good. You got to have a branding iron. Matter of fact, my branding iron is over in the next room over here. I bring it in. I keep it in my office. But you got to have a special branding iron made that will handle the cold, that will hold the cold like a regular branding iron holds heat. And I use dry ice. I use a 3-pound coffee can, and I take a block of dry ice and I put it down inside the coffee can, and then I put my iron on top of the dry ice, and then I put cloths over top of the dry ice, and the iron is sticking up through the middle. And you can actually, it almost sounds like sparking and this sort of thing, how it's crackling. And then the next thing is, while that's doing that, you want to shave the area that you're doing. It was my left shoulder on my mules, and in the center for my cattle. And so you shave it and make sure it's really close to the hide. And here's a key secret for me. What I use alcohol, not Jack Daniels, but regular clear alcohol, and rub it on it because it turns cool. And when I rub it on, then just as soon as I get it rubbed on, I put my iron on there, and mules brace into it, and then I move it up and down, left and right, up and down, left and right, and you'll get a really pretty clean brand. Now, if you have a paint mule or a paint horse, that is going to be pretty tough to get a good clear brand on because of the pigmentation with them, because it will turn white. That's why on paint mules and black mules, their saddle sores turn really bright white. They'll do it really good, but you have to make sure that you go up and down, left and right really good, and keep the same amount of pressure on there, and it'll work really good. I love that. Do you have an Arizona branding certificate?
We'll see here. We'll see what Anthony has to say. So hopefully, Anthony, that is helpful, and let us know on that branding certificate. Julie says, Julia from Ventura here, wondering if she means they spoiled them with treats. I have to constantly tell people not to give my girl anything.
Yeah.
What do you think about treats?
Well, they got their spots. If I've got a mule that is hard to catch, kind of not want to be around it, I will give an open hand treat toward the chest so they back away from me to get it. But what I don't want to do is give it to them and they maul me. You can see a couple of these trainers on YouTube and this sort of thing. They're getting mauled by these animals simply because they've got a little feed bag right here and they're handing them out all these feed. I know people that are missing fingers because they thought it was a carrot and not the actual finger, you know.
Yeah.
So it's rare that I'll give a treat. It has to be an animal that just can't go. You can't go at it any other way to be for catching them. You know.
It's a question that repeatedly comes up. Folks want to know about it, so we'll keep talking about it. We've got Gene Rich from Michigan here, newbie, trying to ground train my 5-year-old standard donkey. I sure appreciate all the information you guys share. So let's just, not a specific question there, but let's talk about it. We've got a 5-year-old standard donkey with someone who is brand new to the donkey. Would you say come along rope halter, almost no matter what that animal's background is?
No matter what. I start with a come along hitch. I don't care if he's supposed to be a 20-year-old broke one. When I'm going to start him and I'm going to see where their holes are, and that's what I'm looking for, I'll start with, my ground communication kit.
Yeah.
You know, it's got the how-to video, shows you how to do it and this sort of thing. The adjusting the halter, that's actually pretty easy, folks. We've got it right there on my website with the halters. It shows you exactly how to adjust it out, and just take your time. Adjust it to your mule, and then use the come along hitch. That's your number one thing. And don't just do it a few times thinking you got it. Folks, you got to remember, 6 months builds a foundation. 6 months, not just 6 hours, 6 months.
Yeah. So talk to me real quick about this. So with Gene watching, newbie, we got a lot of people who are first-time owners, a lot of people who are new in the last year. Matter of fact, when folks make a purchase from the website, we send a short survey and we just say, hey, you know, how long have you been around what we're doing? And the overwhelming majority is people who are within a year new to what it is we're doing here. So we got a lot of newbies out there. You mentioned this earlier, but for Gene's benefit and for everybody else watching, how much should I actually be out there? Because I want to be a good owner. I want to make sure that I'm actively training. I want to make sure that I get out there, that I don't, ruin a chance to get this animal to retain a whole bunch of knowledge. So how much do I actually need to be out there training with my mule in these early days?
Well, in all actuality, every time you open your training, you are communicating with that mule. Every time you open the gate, every time you come out that way, you're actually doing some type of training. But when it comes down to actual training, where you're actually riding them and training them or doing groundwork and this sort of thing, 4 to 6 hours a week. That's all. No more than that. More than that, you end up kind of popping their mind. They need to understand foundation. Ask, tell, demand, comfortable, uncomfortable, and then 3, 6, 9, 12. When they do that, and you get up to 12, then you can go ahead and do about everything, because you've got to build a foundation. And that's what the steps of 12 is. 12 makes the steps for a foundation. And remember, that's what started the foundation of Christianity, was those 12.
Oh yeah, 12 changed the world. It's a good solid number there. So Jana is wanting to kind of bump us a little bit. Bump. She's wanting to make sure that we don't finish today's broadcast without talking about stubborn mules. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
Is it that time already? My goodness.
It's about 3:20, so I figure we ought to talk about it before we get too far along.
All right, so I meet a lot of unique people out there on these trails and doing these clinics and stuff, Jana. And I was in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, there is just tons of horses and equine. I cannot believe the amount of equine there. Anyway, I was doing this clinic, and I have all these people around, and I say, all right, tell me what I can help you with. I want you to specifically tell me, every one of you's got to have at least 3 things I can help you with. And this lady come busting out. She says, my mule is stubborn just like my husband. And I said, really? Well, tell me what's going on. She goes, well, watch this. So she goes over, she climbs in the saddle, and she rides off. She probably goes about 200-300 yards, and the mule turns around and comes right back. She's yelling, hollering at that mule. She's hollering, whoa, and pulling it back. She can't get it to stop for nothing. She looks down at me off that saddle. She says, see that? This mule is stubborn, just like my husband. And I said, all right, well, give me that mule a minute. So I pulled her bridle off, and I put my mule rider's martingale on there. I adjusted the stirrups. I climbed in the saddle. And I went right past the place that she couldn't go to. And she says, oh, look, Steve's got my mule trained already. Oh, wow. And everybody's going, wow, look at there. Steve's got going already. And she says, he won't go up that hill. He doesn't like going up hills. I went up the hill. Oh, be careful coming down the hill. He'll take off running, you know, no problem. Everywhere I wanted to go, everywhere she says he couldn't go, he went. So I come back and she's all excited. You trained my mule. You fixed him in such a short time, about 15 minutes, you know. And she says, oh, great. You know, I says, well, here, you climb on and ride. I pulled my bridle off and my martingale, and I put hers on, adjusted the stirrups, you know, and everybody's watching her get on, and she gets on, and she goes riding off, and the mule stops, turns around, does the exact same thing again. And everybody's going, what happened? What happened? We just saw Steve take this mule everywhere. He had him trained, you know. And she comes back, she says, see that? He's stubborn just like my husband. And I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am, not stubborn at all. Cool Hand Luke said it a long time ago. What we have here is the failure to communicate. Failure to communicate. That's what it is. And what was my secret? My spurs. My spurs. Spurs, yes. Evil spurs. No, this is a great thing, because if more kids would get their butt paddled, we wouldn't have some of the problems we got today. And that's what spurs are. All spurs do is back up what you are saying. You're going to ask with your calf, tell with the side of your stirrup, and demand with your spur. Rarely will you have to use spurs, but people tend to harpoon them all the time. All the time. Seem to go right to it. When I was up at the YOLO Ranch, they didn't have any good solid horses. They were all dead-sided because they got harpooned all the time, you know. These are, you know, that's called Jingle Bobs. Anyway, these are a great tool. They're wonderful. These are some handmade. This is made out of a file blade. And these are handmade spurs. Notice here I got the 3 crosses right there on that one.
There you go.
Got that on there. This one right here is a mule head right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I've got another set too that I wear that's custom made, that a mule set, really looks nice. But anyway, going back, Jana, use the thought of right, left. Ask, tell, demand. Folks, don't worry about hurting Fluffy. If you don't get after Fluffy, Fluffy will have your hide tanned on the wall. It won't be theirs. It'll be yours. That's what they'll do. So don't be afraid to get after them, you know. And then the same thing with that bit, Jana. Let that bit hang down. That's a finished bit. So let it hang down about a ½ an inch below the corner of the mouth. Let that mule spend time, pick it up, and put it down. When Jana got back, I just happened to call. She just got out of the saddle, and oh, she was mad. She says, this mule didn't do what I wanted to do. I went after circle after circle after circle. She says, and right now I'm pulling the tack off and putting him away. And I said, why? She says, because I'm irritated at him. He's thinking, oh boy, good. You give me home, you pull all the tack off, you give me carrots, and you put me in the corral, and that was bad. Oh, come on, Jana. No, you know, you're 50. Anyway, you're still a young gal, and I was going to say your age there, but you know what a whipping was about. There's nothing wrong with popping them on the butt, you know. Even though all these goodies say, "Oh, that's abuse." No. We didn't have kids with their pants hanging down with their underwear showing when I was a kid. No. We got the paddle. We had a teacher that had to paddle on his desk with holes drilled in it so that when he swatted, he didn't have any air that held it back. Whack! He got her done, you know. But go back and let that bit hang down. Let that mule pick it up and pack it. Folks, don't bring your animals back and pull the saddles off right away. Don't do that. Pull the bridle off, put it away. Loosen up the cinches a little bit. Let them stand there for a while. How long? Depending on you. Then you pull the saddle off. Let them stand there for a while. Let them understand that you are the herd leader, and when you say it's time to get rest, you get rest. When it's time for water, you get water. That's all part of it. That's called natural horsemanship. It ain't this fluffy stuff that you see.
Very good. That's a good story there. That's one that I've heard quite a bit. And of course, we can't speak to whether or not the husband was stubborn, but we knew it was a failure to communicate with the mule.
Yeah. Well, I told Jana, you know, I'd come up there to Wyoming because I'm sure she's got some trespassers up there, antelope or deer. And while I'm taking care of trespassers, I can also show her a thing or two with her mule. You know.
Would you take your?
Would
you take the handgun?
Yeah. I have to show you that sometime. You need to see that.
That'd be good.
You need to bring your boys out sometime.
I want to.
And we'll put some headphones on them. They can watch me shoot.
Oh man,
you know?
I want to. They would get a kick out of that. So folks who don't know, Steve is like a second father to me, and he's another grandparent to my boys. I've got 3 little boys. They're 7, 5, and 2. They're awesome kids. They're really, really great kids. And we went out to the Andrada Ranch down in Tucson back at the end of May, beginning of June time. And boy, they had so much fun. Now, Steve, this has been so long ago. I cannot believe how long it's been. But Isaiah was like 3 years old. He's 7 now. 2 years old, 3 years old when I brought him out to the ranch, and he sat up on Stacy. And so he was always saying, I've ridden a mule. And so we went down to Vail, and of course, all 3 of my boys got to ride. I'm trying to find a picture here. Got to ride the mule. Well, they're still talking about that. They loved it. I'll put it up here at the screen. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. But there's my boys. So we were down at the Andrada riding. Well, the little one right there, the little one all the way to, gosh, I don't know if it'll be your left or your right. But he still just looks at me. We'll be sitting at dinner, and he'll go, randomly, Steve, we won't even bring it up. He'll go, a mule? Mule? He'll go, yeah. Me? Like, you rode the mule? Yeah. And then he'll just go, mule? I'll say, mule? He'll go, yeah. Me? You rode the mule? Yeah. And he'll do it 6, 7, 8 times. Loved it. It is imprinted into his brain. He loves it. It's absolutely wonderful. The boys that stuff is just great memories for them. Before we're done here, we got a couple more questions that came in, and we want to make sure to get to them. So this one's from Craig. Craig's been super patient. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it. He's watching over on YouTube. He says, my mule will let you approach when you are empty-handed, but will stand off if you have a rope or a bridle. Should I try to get it to a more confined area to catch, or what would you suggest?
Well, my whole thing is people have done the same thing over and over again. Number 1, don't approach the nose. Always approach the shoulder. When you approach the nose, it does 3 things. It says, come to me, go away from me, and then also the last one, back up. So approach the shoulder. It's a neutral zone. The hip is move away. So what I would do, remember the picture I sent you, and I think you put it on a newsletter, of the lady with the rope in the middle of the mule's ears? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, he had the same problem. He wouldn't come near as long as he had the rope. But you'll see the end result there is though all that rope is laying in the middle of that mule's head. But anyway, so what I would do, I would take him in the round pen, and I would walk toward the shoulder, always square-shouldered, always looking one eye at the mule, one eye at the shoulder. Now here's the thing. When you look down and you look back up, you just ask for permission to come into his herd. But if you're squared-shouldered, you look him in the eye and you go straight toward that shoulder, you are saying, I am the herd leader. When you look down, they got you. They then think that they are the herd leader. So let's go back. what I would do then, I'd have nothing in my hands to start with. And that's another thing, is how people approach with the halter. So I had nothing in my hands to start with. I walk up, scratch him on the shoulder, scratch him on the head, approaching the shoulder. 3, 6, 9, 12, over 4 to 6 hours, over a 6-month time frame. Anyways, go on. So then I would take and put the halter on, and the halter, the nose part goes over my wrist, and then the rest of the lead rope goes over my arm. And when I come up, it's like it's part of me. I don't go hanging like it's a pair of bags and have it on my hand. I've got it as if it's a part of me. Now, here's what I want you to do. When the mule decides to run off, let him run. Hoot, holler, scream, throw your hands up. Say, yeah, get out of here. You know, he's going to want to, after a bit, he's going to want to take and stay with you, because you're making him really uncomfortable by hooting, hollering, and making him run. He's thinking, flight and fright, I got to go because I'm concerned about this thing, and I don't want to do what this guy wants, okay? And so the other thing is, don't put him out in a big pasture. Don't put him out in an arena. Put him in a small corral, 20 by 20. That's the biggest I'd want you to have. My corrals here at the ranch are 10 by 20. When you bring a new mule home, folks, and you're training, put them in small pens, and don't put them together. Put them all separate so you can get an idea of the individual feed that they need, individual water, and make sure they're healthy, and go on from there. But that's the way I would go at it. Some of the videos I got out there, Dave, I think that one how-to video, I talk about doing round pen work in the very beginning, so that's something to consider.
Very good. Let's just take a look here. So Jana went ahead and took care of it for you. She says 62, Steve, 62.
Oh,
you put it in there. Hey, Yolanda is joining us. Yolanda is our friend from the Netherlands. And yes. Yolanda says, Steve, Dave, guess what I had to do? The first bump, 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 and then she crossed the bridge. Good girl. That bump, bump.
There we are. It works.
It works. Yeah. Jana says, come on up, Steve. Open carry in Wyoming.
That's right. Open carry. You're exactly right. Yeah, and I'll have to go up there and help her with some of them trespassers on her property. So
gotta let them know they can't be doing that. They gotta learn the lesson.
Yeah. They'll learn their lesson when they're in their skillet.
That's right. Eileen says the mules in the picture, the mules that we rode up there, I think there was one horse. They look relaxed, which that's what you want, right? That disposition.
Hey, that's some Randy's training, you know.
Yeah.
That's I mean you got mules there that have been under Randy's hand for quite a while, and Randy's a heck of a hand now.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just don't put kids that age on an animal like that. Notice they got helmets, Troxall helmets. That's important. I can't believe, Dave, I am so frustrated with moms and dads who have their kids up here and no helmet on them.
Yeah.
Let alone no helmet on the person, but no helmet on the kid. Come on, folks. Come on. Put a helmet on them. Don't cowboy up. You earn these things. You just don't put it on your head and say, now I'm a cowboy. This hat here, this is earned.
That's right.
It's earned. That's the way it is. You go into the cowboy world, you better darn sure look like you earned that hat. Otherwise, you'll play the tune. But folks, put helmets on these kids. Put helmets on them.
When we were getting ready to ride, we asked my 3 boys, so 7, 5, and 2, we asked them, do you want to ride? The older 2 were like, yeah, we want to ride. So we put some little chaps on them. They're real cute, super cute. And they went to put their helmets on. We tried to go put a helmet on Stevie, the 2-year-old, and he doesn't like things on his head. So he was like, no. And so he pushed it off. Well, then once he saw his older brothers riding, no one prompting him, I'm riding back and forth, and I see him going, trying to find the helmet. He gets the helmet. No one's with him. I mean, he was safe and everything, but no one's standing right next to him, holding his hand. Gets it, puts it on his head, and he's trying to figure out how to put it on himself.
I remember seeing that.
You remember that? Oh my goodness! And then we had to coerce him to get off the mule. He was in tears trying to get off the mule. He loved it.
Yeah, he's a natural hand. I'll tell you what. He'll be coming down to help Randy and I punching cows here in a few years.
A mule?
Yeah, mule.
Mule? Me? You? Yeah.
That's
Julia says, D says, by the way, happy coming birthday, Steve. So right
right.
up here on
Thank
Saturday, Steve's birthday,
you.
22,
Yep.
22.
I'd rather be 42 again. 22, I was pretty stupid.
There we go. 42, 42.
Yeah, 42. Yep, yep. That's right.
Julia says, my girl has to go where and when I want. When we get back from a ride, we go around in the arena because she doesn't like it. Then she gets tired for a while. I'm 66 years old and many ailments. I'm surrounded by ladies who can't understand why I do what I do. I'm not that good at it, but I keep it up. Raised some okay kids and dogs too. Treated them all about the same. Have to listen to Steve to remind myself I'm doing the right thing. That's right, Julia.
Good for you, Julie. I'm proud of you.
That's funny.
Yeah, we wouldn't have some of the problems we got today if somebody would just take and lay a paddle to somebody's butt. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll pray for them. Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We do this for you every single week. Really appreciate Jana and Eileen and DeWitt and Randy and Julia and Robert and Anthony and Casey and Kevin and Craig and Dave and Meg and David and Eric and Judy and Di and David and John and everyone coming and hanging out with us. Y'all sure do make this time real special.
Absolutely.
It's something we really enjoy. Keep sending those questions in. Keep at it. If there's anything we can do, Steve wants to help you. You can go to the website, muleranch.com. Number one, his phone number's there. It is his phone number. You can send him a text message with pictures, or if you want to call him, make sure you leave a voicemail. And number two, you can send me a message, support@muleranch.com, if you have any questions that I can help you with, or just with the store or finding the article or resources that we talked about here. Steve's the one who knows it all. I just listen and point you in the right direction. But Steve, you're still learning some stuff.
Oh yeah, I learn stuff all the time when I visit with people, and it's really neat to watch. Like I was at Eric Palmer's clinic over the weekend, and Eric did a good job. I was talking to a couple of his students just today. They were really happy with him. They loved the one-on-one that Eric put out for them. Eric did a nice job. You got to remember, he rides mules and donkeys. Now, I do got to say, Dave, once in a while it's got to happen. He did lower his standards a little bit and allowed a couple horses in. But they were actually friends of another guy, and they said, please. And I guess Eric went ahead and went along with it.
The things we do for our friends.
Oh, yeah, the things we do for our friends, right? Exactly, But no, he did a nice job. People were really happy. Matter of fact, he rode my new Cowboy. My new Cowboy saddle. Yeah, I give it to him to ride for the next couple months. I've got some other saddles and stuff, and his saddle needed some work. So I boxed it up and I sent it to my saddle maker, so him do some work to it. I said, ride my saddle in the meantime. Tell me what you think about it. So there we are.
How about it? Tried, true, goes through the process. Yolanda just gave us an update here. Yolanda's been working on getting the trail light. She says, I'm going to try to get that trail light very soon. I'm going to keep you updated. Well, Yolanda, you're going to be in good company. Steve just told me that at this training with Eric Palmer, there were 10 mules there? 9 out of the 10 mules, Steve Edwards saddles, and every one of them loved him.
Yep.
It's kind of like that dentist thing. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Crest. 9 out of 10 mule riders recommend Steve, and the other one just doesn't know they're going to do it yet.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, maybe what we better do, Dave, maybe we better deliver that saddle to Yolanda.
Hey, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, I don't know, Yolanda, a delivery.
He is growing that community out there of all those mule and donkey trainers and owners and lovers. There might be something there.
Who knows?
Yolanda goes, no. Serious? We'll see how it goes. Folks, thank you so much for taking some time. Really appreciate it. We will be back with you next week on Wednesday. Cannot wait to see you. In the meantime, let us know how we can help you. muleranch.com. Steve's phone number is there. Let him know. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Me.